I think online business is literally the best way to generate additional income, have a side hustle without quitting your job. So then the next question is, what's the best online business to start to hit that sort of 4K a month or 3K extra in your pocket every month? And I want to keep the thought going that we need to make a disproportionate amount of income versus the time input. So we want to make more income generally than the time input is worth to us.
There's a ton of you watching right now who $3,000 a month would make a massive difference in your family's bills, in your life in general. It would relieve a lot of stress. I know that's the case for me. When I first started dropshipping, I was $40,000 in consumer debt. My wife and I had put all sorts of dumb stuff on a credit card, and the ability to make an extra couple $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 per month was very intriguing to me. In fact, back then, money went a little bit further pre-COVID, and so that was basically what I was making was $3,000-$4,000 a month, right? And so to be able to essentially double my income by having what I thought would be a nice side hustle here in dropshipping was very intriguing to me. And I think a lot of people watching this video probably feel the same way. What can I do to make an extra 2-3K a month? And heck, maybe turn this into my real business where I can quit a job and work on this full time.
So we're particularly focusing here on how can you make this extra money without quitting your day job. So, like Ben said, you're working a job, you want to keep getting that income, but it's not quite enough. Things are getting more expensive. Renting a home, for example, in a lot of places is more expensive than it used to be. Your paycheck probably isn't going up as quickly as some of those things are. So pulling in an extra $3K a month, and I kind of picked that number because it kind of felt like that for a lot of people, that would be, make a massive difference. Can you do that without quitting your job? So you keep that source of income you already have and you're kind of adding to that. And the good news is that you can, and this is how you're going to do it. So if you're in a job that you can't quit or you don't want to quit, but you need to make more income, your biggest barrier to doing that is really time. And I'm going to come back to that idea at the moment, but we want to make a little bit of simple maths first. Like if you want to make an extra 3K in your pocket, you actually need to make more than 3K because you're going to get taxed, right? Any income you make, whether it's through a job or a business or whatever, there's going to be some tax involved. So we actually need to generate more money than that, more finances than that. And so I'm going to say that you want to work with $4,000 as your target here. I mean, I know that's not going to, the tax isn't going to work out exactly that way for everybody, but I'm being generous here. So let's say 4K. We need to generate $4,000. $3,000 of that is going to end up in our pocket at a minimum, right? I'm also going to assume here that you don't have much spare money. So, you're not somebody who's sitting there with a massive chunk of change in the bank that you can just invest into something and make 3K a month in kind of relatively passive returns. Most people who could use the extra money these days generally don't have a massive amount of money just sitting there in the bank. You probably wouldn't be asking this question if you did, right? So let's assume that you don't have that. Now, coming back to that time dilemma, I said your biggest barrier here or your biggest challenge here is actually time. So when you work a job, you only have X amount of time that you can generate that additional income, right? You're working a day job. You're going to be there, 38 hours, 40 hours a week. Many people work longer hours than their job actually was advertised for. So maybe you're working 50 hours a week at your day job already. So you've only got a limited amount of time around that with which to generate your extra $4,000. And you've got to sleep. You probably have a family. If you're in this scenario, you might have young children and you want to see them at least some of the time. You might have a partner, a wife, a husband. You might have other responsibilities. Maybe you assist your elderly parents or something like that. You've got other things going on in your life that you can't just make disappear and drop and have nothing to do with, even if you wanted to. And so, because of those things, you've got even less time. So what are your options to generate that 3K? Like, let's just go back to basics here. Your first option would be to get a second job, right? You could get another job where you're essentially trading time for a fixed amount of money per time, right? You could trade time for money in a business, or you could find a business where you can make the money disproportionately to your time input. So what does that mean? So let's say you're worth, I'm going to be really generous here. Let's say you currently get $50 an hour in your day job right now. Like that's not a bad wage for somebody. Some people do get paid more than that. Some people get paid less than that. But let's say $50 an hour for a nice round number. You'd need to work an additional 80 hours a month to make around an extra 3K in your pocket after tax, roughly, let's say. So 80 hours per month on top of the day job you're already working, where you're maybe somewhere between 38 and 50 hours a week. Now that sucks, right? Yes, you could do it, but it would really suck. And there are people doing that right now. And you would know that when you do that, you have no time for anything else. You're tired, you're constantly worn out, and it's really not going to be sustainable for you in the long term, particularly if you have responsibilities like a family, et cetera, et cetera. Now, of course, you're going to do what you got to do, but surely there's a better way. So if we rule that out as an option here, because it's not really sustainable and it really sucks, your next option, and possibly the next easiest thing for a lot of people that would come to you is, and this certainly came to me, like if I cast my mind back 10 years when I was in this situation. I wanted to make some extra money, and I thought about different businesses that I could start and do as a side hustle, as been mentioned at the top of the show, to provide that extra income. And so you could start a business providing a service. And these are fairly easy ways to start a business, actually. Like you could go around mowing lawns, cleaning pools. There's any number of tasks that people out there would pay you to do for them, right? And in doing that, you'll probably find you can actually make a higher hourly rate than you would in your job. And so, I have a guy who looks after my property for me. He mows the lawns, he does the edging, all that sort of thing. And he probably makes for me about $100 an hour, right? Before his costs and tax and that sort of thing. Same for a guy that might come and clean my pool. And so let's say you can make $100 an hour instead of your $50 an hour if you got a second job. You would still need to do 40 extra hours of work per month. Somewhere else, away from your home, you'd have to travel around a bit to different people's places, so there'd be some travel time involved as well. And they're manual. A lot of these sort of things are fairly manual. So once again, we're going to come back to you've worked your day job. Now you're going to go and do all this extra work. It's difficult. It kind of sucks. And what makes it harder is like you're working a day job. The only time you're going to have to do this sort of stuff is going to be on the weekend, because you can't rock up at somebody's house at 8 p.m. and say, hey, I'm here to mow your lawn. Right? They're going to tell you, no, buddy, you can't. You got to do it during the day. But you're already working during the day. So now your option is to give up all of your weekend to do those extra 40 hours a month to generate the extra income. Once again, that kind of sucks, right? You can't. It's not going to be sustainable in the long term for you to work 7 days a week, every week. Like that's just going to wear you out. It's going to be mentally difficult, and you're probably not going to be able to do it for very long. So really, to make it sustainable to generate that extra 4K pre-tax per month in your spare time is to be able to do it out of hours, so after or before your working day on weekdays and a little bit on weekends as well, probably, in a way where your income isn't a direct one-to-one with your time, right, necessarily. Or another way to put this is do it in a way that you can make some income when you sleep. Right? Because the reality is you're going to sleep for probably for most people 6 to 8 hours a night, right? If you can generate some income while you're doing that, or while you're at your day job where you're generating income without actually being actively doing something at exactly that time, this gets you around the time dilemma of generating that extra 4K a month. And so this is where starting an online business comes in. And this is why many people are looking to start an online business. And I think online business is literally the best way to generate additional income, have a side hustle without quitting your job. So then the next question is, what's the best online business to start to hit that sort of 4K a month or 3K extra in your pocket every month? And I want to keep the thought going that we need to make a disproportionate amount of income versus the time input. So we want to make more income generally than the time input is worth to us. Now, there's plenty of different online businesses that you can start. And if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably already looked into a few of them, right? I certainly know I did when I was first getting into business, and I thought, I came to these realizations and thought online business is the way to go because I want to be able to do it from my home. I don't want to have to travel to do it. I want to be able to do it before and after work because I was working a day job. And I looked at a whole bunch of different things. You could start an affiliate marketing business. You could provide a service online, and there's a lot of people out there who will sell you a course to start your own small social media marketing agency or something like that. You could start a software as a service type business, spin up a little bit of software and try and sell it to people. You could start an e-commerce business where you sell physical products to people. And so there's lots of different options, but some of these options have the same problem. So any type of service-based business online, it's better than going out and providing a physical service to somebody at their home, for example, but you're still only going to be getting paid for the time that you put in. Now, it's going to be a little bit better. You'll probably make a little bit more for your time than you would mowing lawns, for example, but you're still trading time for money there directly. And so to me, that one's kind of out in this scenario as well. Not to say that there aren't great businesses in that space, but for this particular purpose of the side hustle, I think it's out for me. Starting a software as a service business for most people is going to be difficult as well. There's technical knowledge required, and so you either have to possess that or have the ability to partner with somebody who already has that before you're going to put that together, right? And that kind of puts most people out, because if you want to have that technical knowledge, it's going to take you some time to generate it, which you're not going to be getting paid for, right? And so to me, that one's out as well. I think e-commerce, so selling physical products, is a good option. I think it's the best option. And the reason is for this. Yes, you're going to spend some time doing it. You've got to build a business, and we'll talk about that in a moment, how you could go about that. But once you have a website up and running that sells physical products, people can buy from your website at any time of day, right? Without, often, not always, but without your direct involvement. So you could be sitting at your day job, working away there, earning your income there, and somebody buys a physical product from you. You've just generated some income while you're at your day job. You could be asleep, and at 11 p.m. at night, somebody buys a physical product from you, from your website. And so you've generated income while you're asleep. And so to me, selling physical products online is the best option here if you want to generate that additional $4K a month, because one, you can work on the business from home. You can do all the work you need to do to get it set up and running from home. You can manage it from home. You can do it before or after your existing day job. You could do it on the weekends. You could do it while you're commuting to or from your day job, which is what I did a lot. In the beginning, I had a really long commute when I first got started in business. And so I worked on my business while I was commuting, sitting on a train. And once it's up and running, you can start making sales at all times of the day without your direct involvement often. Now, if we say e-commerce is the best option here, not every e-commerce business is created equal either. So going back to our original scenario, you don't have a lot of money sitting there. So that automatically is going to throw out some e-commerce options for you, right? If you want to start an e-commerce business where you sell your own product, for example, you've got an idea for a product, you're going to need to prototype it out. You're going to need to find a manufacturing partner to produce that for you in some numbers. That's going to require a decent injection of cash to get that done. Now, we don't have that in this scenario. So we need to find a way to be able to source and sell physical products online without putting in a massive chunk of money up front. And that's the ideal scenario for us. And luckily, there is a way that we can do that. If you're here, you're on the Dropship Podcast. It is, of course, dropshipping, which is a method of fulfillment where, rather than buying all of your products up front, you only buy products as you sell them, and they ship directly from your supply partner to the customer. So you don't touch the products, you don't have to store them in a warehouse, but you can market them exactly the same way and sell them exactly the same way as if you did have them in your warehouse that you'd bought in front. And so, to me, the best way that you can generate an extra $3,000 in your pocket, or $4,000 pre-tax if you like, is by starting and running a dropshipping business. But even dropshipping businesses are not created equal, Ben. And we've talked a lot about this on the podcast. Like, what's the best dropshipping business to start?
Yeah, first off, you laid that out perfectly. Anybody listening to this, hopefully walk through that process of like, okay, I don't have money, but I do have time. I don't want to spend my time. You did that really, really well. So I hope if you didn't really pay attention there, go back and listen to that. John walked you through the logic of how we got here and doing things where you only have to do them once and reap the rewards for a long time is certainly far better than you having to go punch that clock over and over and over again. So we've determined that an e-commerce business is where you should be. We've determined that maybe you don't have money to start this, which I think is what makes this model beautiful. You can literally start for less than $500, and you could do so in 5 steps. So I'm going to lay this out. We've done much more deep dive podcasts on this. Maybe you can check them out in the description or look back in our feed. There's much more deep dives here, but the 5 steps are pretty simple. We're going to find the person that we want to serve. We're thinking about the person here. We're not thinking about products. We're not going to look for the next hot product. We're looking for the person that we want to serve. And not all persons are created equal. I will tell you, there are some people that are fun to serve and some people that may not be fun to serve. Some people who are just like you, who are easy to talk to, and some people who are very much different than you that you might find harder to talk to. Either way, you're going to find the person you want to serve and the problems you want to solve for that person. Then you're going to go find the products that person buys, right? So if somebody's, an entrepreneur who's in the 1% and they want to continue getting better, they're probably looking for wellness products. They're probably looking to sit in a sauna 20 minutes 4 times a week at 170 degrees, as Huberman told them to. They're probably looking for red light therapy. Those are the products that person buys, but you're serving that person, right? And that'll lead us to the products. That's step 2. Step 3, you're going to build a website. And I know this sounds counterintuitive because you don't even know where these products are coming from yet, but you need a website so that when we find the suppliers, we have a website to show them. We can show them that we're legit. We can show them that we're not just Joe Bag of Donuts off the street looking to make a few bucks. We're trying to build a business here. And we can show them what their products might look like or our competitors' products on our website and how we're going to frame them and how serious we are is really what that means. So you found the person, you found the products they buy, you built a website, ideally on Shopify. That's what we promote around here. And then you're going to reach out to those brands. So all the products that you found are carried by brands that you've definitely heard of. If you've been in the industry, you know these brands. We're not going to AliExpress. We're not going to Alibaba. We're not importing products. We're going to brands that already exist for me here in the United States or you in your local country. And you're reaching out to those brands and letting them know, hey, I'd like to be a retailer for your company. What does that look like? And you're not sending an email. You're calling them. And you're pitching yourself as a business. Hey, I'm Ben from mystore.com and I'd love to become a retailer for your product. And you let me know who I can talk to about that, right? Then you're going to get some yeses. You're going to get some nos, of course, but you're going to get yeses. And from there, you're going to upload those products onto that website. And the next thing you're going to do is run Google Ads. Because where do people go when they're searching for products? Often it's Amazon for the lower ticket things. But if they're looking for something bigger, they're probably not going to Amazon. They're going to Google and they're searching for these things. More than likely, they're already searching for the brand you're carrying. They're searching for the product, the exact product that you're carrying. And we can step in front of those people searching those things on Google in Google Shopping ads. If you ever went to Google and searched something, you've seen the little ads at the top. So with the picture and the price on there, that's Google Shopping ads. That's exactly what we're going to run. We're going to run hyper-targeted ads to the products that we're carrying. And we're going to serve the shit out of the person on those product pages when they land there. We're going to answer their problems. We're going to talk directly to the entrepreneur, not Wellness Willie who's buying the sauna. We're talking to Entrepreneurial Eddie, if you will, and you're going to serve them because we know who the person is who's buying this. And inevitably, it's probably going to turn into sales at some point. If you're targeting the right keywords and you're sending them to a beautiful product page, you're likely going to convert some of those people.
Yep. And the nice thing about this is, of course, is that we're talking about high ticket dropshipping here. So we're selling products that, as Ben said, they're at a much higher price. So your profit on individual sales can be like $500, $600, $1,000. On some sales, it can be more than $1,000. We've had individual sales where we profited up to $20,000 off one sale. Now, that's obviously much rarer. Those are not common, but it does happen. And so when we go back to our original numbers, we want to make $4K pre-tax so that we can have $3K in our pocket afterwards. Let's start doing the maths here. Let's go on the lower end. Let's say you're making $500 net profit per sale after you've paid your business expenses. That means you only need to make 8, 9, 10 sales a month. That's all to generate your additional income. Maybe you'll make more than that as well and end up with more. But when we go down the high ticket dropshipping route, particularly compared to other types of dropshipping, it fits our model here because, once again, we don't need to sell a lot of individual products to hit our 3K a month target, which means we don't have to spend a lot of time, as much time on customer service, fulfilling orders, etc., to generate that income because we're time restricted here in a sense as well, because we're still working a day job. And so high ticket dropshipping, really, if you're in this scenario, you're going down the dropshipping path, you've kind of followed the logic we've gone through here, you'll probably once again look into this a bit more and see high ticket dropshipping, but you'll also see things like AliExpress dropshipping and other types of low ticket dropshipping. That also doesn't really fit the model we're looking for here, because to generate $3K a month in your pocket, you're still going to have to do a ton of orders and process a ton of orders and deal with a lot of customers when you're only making $10 per sale or less in some cases. Think about it. Like, how many sales at $10 a sale do you need to make $4,000, right? It's a lot. It's still a lot, right? And while it's doable in some circumstances, it's nowhere near as good fits our scenario as well as high ticket dropshipping. So while you can do it, from wherever you want, and kind of when you want, and generate those sales, when you're doing other things, I think there's still some there's still some struggles you're going to face here, Ben. Like, I don't want to go through this and make it sound like it's real easy.
Yeah, certainly, you're going to have to learn a little bit about Shopify. If you've never seen code in your life, you might have to learn a tiny bit of code. Certainly, you can use ChatGPT and things like that. But honestly, it's skills you have to learn. If you want to get good at baseball, you got to learn how to swing a baseball bat and throw a baseball and catch a baseball and field grounders and things like that, right? There's fundamentals to everything. You're going to need to learn fundamentals. And the best way to learn fundamentals is not watching a YouTube video on how to learn fundamentals. It's just going and doing, right? Are you going to learn how to take grounders the right way and get in front of the ball by watching a YouTube video on how to take grounders? Or are you going to learn how to take grounders well by taking a ton of grounders, playing baseball, right? Or swinging the bat or whatever it ends up being. So, you got to get in the arena. You have to get in there and do the work, but it's not a lot of work. I remember back to my first business, John. I built and sold my first business while working full-time at a Walmart distribution center. I'm throwing dog food from 4 a.m. to 2 p.m., and I'm going home and calling customers. Then I switched to second shift, and so I would call customers in the morning, or I'd step out on my break. I would find little pockets to answer customer phone calls or call them back and process orders, but I was probably working 1 to 2 hours a day. That's what I had available to me. Still had to get my Call of Duty time in there. And so I wasn't willing to sacrifice too much, but I was willing to work just hard enough to build a business, to get suppliers to sell 3D printers at the time. And I think anyone watching this is capable of saying, okay, you know what? If I pull up my phone and look at my screen time, I've got 6 hours a day on average on there. I think I could cut some of that out and actually build something I'm proud of here and make a few extra $1,000 a month.
Yep. Look, I was the same, different job. I was working a corporate job in an office, 50 hours a week, sometimes more, commuting a lot. And yeah, man, I was the same. I would build my business. I'd do a little bit of work some days before I went to work. I'd do it on my commute to work. Some days I'd do it in the evening after work, putting in 1 or 2 hours a day kind of thing. And started making sales and growing that business while I was still working that full-time job, which I probably kept working for the first 12 months, probably more than 12 months. I want to say 18 months after I started my first business, where I was selling chandeliers and lights for people's homes and things of that nature. And, we both obviously made the choice to take it further than just a side hustle and go into it full-time as those businesses grew. But at the same time, you completely could have kept it as a side hustle and kept doing the thing that you were doing as well. And so, look, it's not just our success. Definitely, if you want to see more about how people are getting on with this sort of stuff, head over to dropshipbreakthrough.com/reviews, where we share some of the results that our students at Dropship Breakthrough are having with doing the same thing. Almost everybody who starts here has a full-time day job, right? And while they're building one of these businesses, and you can go and check some of that out. If you'd love to know more about how to start one of these businesses, Ben took you through the 5 steps, the 5 basic steps that you go through to get one of these businesses built and launched. We've got a free training that'll take you through each of those steps in more detail, including showing you what it looks like to do that stuff on a screen. You just head to dropshipbreakthrough.com/go. You'll find a link below the episode, below the video as well to that. Or if you want to have a chat to us here about what it looks like to get started and find out more, go to dropshipbreakthrough.com/call, and you can book a free call with us as well, where we'll take you through those steps and let you get a chance to ask any questions you might have about it, talk about what it looks like from a time perspective and the realities of doing it. We'd love to hear from you.